It's Friday morning, early. I got up early today. It's 8:14. So my plan for today, I want to go down to Bari Vecchia, to Old Bari, and just walk around before the tourists wake up, the tour groups. So I'm standing on Viale Orazio Flacco, my main street here, outside of my Airbnb, and I'm trying this taxi app. So I just want to see how this works. So it said a taxi was like 3 minutes away, but it doesn't seem to be moving. So I'll let you know how it goes if I ever make it there by taxi. On Corso Vittorio Emanuele, New Bari behind me, Old Bari on the other side. The taxi was 10 euros. So now it's the first time for me using this app. I thought the app was supposed to give you an estimate of the cost. It didn't. And also, there was no meter in the taxi. This is what I call fun times, when you hop in a taxi and you never know how much you're going to pay. So I guess I should have negotiated before I got in. I didn't, because I didn't know there was no meter. I didn't know the app wasn't going to tell me the cost. So this is called live and learn. Anyway, I asked him how much it was. Well, first I looked at the app to see if it was telling me the cost, and it just said pay using the app, and then I was supposed to like fill in the number. Like, all right. So I asked him how much it was. I asked him, could I pay with the app? He said yes, or I could pay cash. I said, how much is it? And he said, 10 euro. So I don't know if that meant I'm open for negotiation. Anyway, it was quite a long ride. I mean, it probably took me as long to get here in the taxi as it would have by walking, because there was traffic. He kind of went on the freeway a little bit and through a tunnel. Then he showed me on his map where he was going to drop me off. And I said, Teatro Margherita, which is there behind me. He kind of didn't like that. But I figured, since you're probably ripping me off, I'm going to make you go as far as we can possibly go. But then there was traffic, so I figured it was easier to just get out and walk. And also, I'm a nice guy at heart, so I didn't want to stress him out. He was nice. He spoke a little English. Good for me, bad for me. Would have been better if I had to negotiate in Italian, but it's early. I've been struggling with my coffee maker. I haven't really had enough coffee, so I don't want to fight. Okay, so I'm just going to walk up to Teatro Margherita, take a look, and then walk around the outskirt of Old Bari and enter from the backside without getting hit by a bus here. Okay, here we go. A map showing where I am. Number 4 is Teatro Margherita. I'm gonna go up that way a little bit and then enter into Old Bari. So here's this beautiful building that stands at the end of Corso Vittorio Emanuele. Up there is where I had my porchetta sandwich yesterday. So you can see it's kind of a mix. There's some new buildings here and then some older ones. Just a beautiful, beautiful location. Bari, you know, when I was trying to decide where to go, and I finally settled on Puglia, a lot of people kind of seem to have a bad impression of Bari. It's a port city, you know, people thought it was dirty. It's kind of rough around the edges. I like that. I like that it is really at heart an Italian city that has tourists rather than some of these other places that a lot of people like to go, which seem to me to be just really tourist centers. I don't know if what I'm saying is right, but that's the impression that I got. So the city of Bari has about 300, maybe between 300,000, 350,000 inhabitants. So it's small as far as cities go, but it's big enough. All right, I'm just going to enter here. There's the sea. I could walk a little bit more along the sea, but I'm going to go into Old Bari and just get lost a little bit. See what's going on here at 8:30 in the morning. Here are some very old stones. Not sure what this is. I believe that Bari Vecchia goes back like a few thousand years BC. I know the Greeks were here, and then all the various other people who kind of moved in to Italy before and after the Roman Empire. And this looks like a beautiful old street here. Are these Christmas decorations already? Oh, sorry, my camera was kind of telephoto. Nice little vegetable stand. Oh, it's nice basil. I should get some basil. Take it with me next time I go get a margherita pizza in case they forget my basil. All right, I'm just going with the flow here. Some public art and graffiti. So I am here early because I'm trying to avoid you know who. I have the streets all to myself. I know I trashed it, but I'm going to go to Panificio Fiore to get my obligatory Focaccia. They open at 9. And I plan to be one of the first ones there. Looks like I'm coming on up on some kind of a church here. So let's take a look at this. There's a little archway. Bike rental. It would be fun to rent a Vespa, but I'd end up killing myself. and I don't want to die. So I don't think this is a church. This is just a wall. There's a little tunnel. There's a saint. This looks very old. I think that might be a church, but I'm not sure. All right, I'm gonna consult my map so that I don't get totally lost here. There's a nice breeze. It's still cool. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, like a thunderstorm. So I think we're gonna have some extreme weather rolling in this weekend. All right, I'm gonna consult my map, see where I am, and then I'll be back. In this old plaza, this building, I'm not sure what it is, what it was. Looks like it may have been a church, but I don't think it is now. And I'm sure this gets busy later. There are some cafes here. Probably gets hopping at night. There's La Parilla. So some restaurants. Some different shops. There's some signage ahead. So let's see where that directs me. Looks like it may have rained last night. So Siri is guiding me. My Siri has an Australian accent. His Italian is terrible. So he told me to turn right here on Strada della Città. It's Strada della Città. There are some places to visit. I think I want to go via Palazzo di Città. I need to check my map. The Basilica is this way. There's also an old monastery in the other way, the other direction. I'm going to go to this direction. Came across this little workshop here. This guy's making masks and puppets and jewelry. I love it. I love the puppets. Buongiorno. He wasn't very friendly. Archiconfraternita Santa Anna. So that I saw that yesterday. Archiconfraternita. Does that mean archdiocese? There's an old church. San Agostino. Palazzo di Città. I don't know if this place is open yet, but they have panzerotti. And I can smell it. It smells good. Octopus sandwich is something that's popular here in Bari. I can get my Aperol Spritz. I love that it's so quiet. It's early. That smells so good. And just the thousands of years of history here, like how many different people have walked these streets, how many different invaders and conquests. And now how many thousands of tourists, millions of tourists, have walked through here, munching on panzerotti and octopus sandwiches. It's 22 degrees. It's starting to feel a little humid. So I just passed Panificio Fiore, and I recognize this spot from my friend Italy guy. So his video is the one that made me decide that I wanted to come to Bari. And after he bought his focaccia, he came here and sat and ate it. It's like when you see a place that was in a movie that you've watched 1,000 times, because I actually did watch his video a few times. It's a nice little spot. I might actually get my focaccia and come here and eat it and recreate that scene. All right, so I have 10 minutes to kill. Let's take a look at this plaque here. So it seems to me this is kind of a memorial to some people who were killed by the fascists in 1922. Giuseppe Di Vittorio, Filippo D'Agostino, and Rita Mairotti. I'm not sure, my Italian is not that good that I can really make all of this out, but definitely this is commemorating the death of some people. I'm going to take a picture, see if somebody can translate it for me. This is just my first impression, and I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but you know, first impressions are important. My impression is that people here, Barese, they're kind of tired of the tourists, you know. I think they depend on them. But you have all these people clumping through your neighborhood every day. So the guy that was making the puppets, I said good morning to him. He just kind of scowled at me. I've passed several people. Nobody looks at you or says hello or anything. I went to a little city, a smaller city in Korea, Daegu. Of course, you stand out because it's obvious you're not Korean. People were like waving from the buses and saying hello. And then we went to Seoul and people just ignored us. So kind of, I felt like because they didn't see a lot of tourists, they're really happy to have us there in Seoul. They had seen thousands of tourists. So it's just like another one, not a big deal. So I wonder if that's the case here. It's just so many people come through. And it's just like, okay, another one. Let's take a look here. Just the decoration on this. There's a bell tower up there. So is this a church? Just me and the pigeons. Laundry is always hanging out. There's Confraternita again. Di San Antonio di Padova, St. Anthony of Padova, in San Marco dei Veneziani. So it is like a little church, a little chapel. This is the Church of St. Mark of Venice and St. Antonio. St. Anthony is one of my favorite saints. If you ever lose anything, he's amazing in helping you find it. You just say a little prayer, St. Anthony, please come around. Something is lost and cannot be found, and before you know it, boom, there it is. Wherever you go with all your heart. Is that Confucius? Did Confucius say that? It smells like cleaning product. So I wonder if somebody came out here and cleaned. Questa casa nacque il dolce fiorellino del Carmelo, l'Agnelletta di Gesù, la venerabile Suor Elia di San Clemente, Teodora Fracasso. So she was born here. The sweet Fiorellino. I'm not sure what Fiorellino is. Flower? The Carmelo? She was a Carmelite nun, maybe? The Angel of Jesus? The Venerable Suor? Not sure what all that means. Wow, she was young. 26 years old when she died. And looks like she might be a saint. She has a halo. I love, there's this noisy motorcycle behind me. I love just the patterns here of all these stones. It's like somebody else was eating focaccia here. I'm surprised the pigeons haven't gotten those tomatoes. All right, let's go see if Panificio Fiore is open. Panificio Fiore. Looks like they're open. I don't know if there's a line or what. There's some delicious looking pastries and cookies, pasta. 1508. The St. Nicholas. accomplished. Oh, it's so hot in there and really slow. Sorry. So go first thing in the morning. I was the second person in line. First, there were a bunch of guys standing in the doorway, just kind of looking at me, like obviously I wanted to enter. So you'd think they'd say, "Oh, go ahead," but no. They just stood there talking, and then they left. So I don't know what that was about. Then the woman behind the counter kept bringing out trays of focaccia, different kinds of focaccia. One actually looked like it had pineapple and ham on it. Don't tell anybody. I swear it looked like pineapple. At first I thought it was cheese, but then I was looking at it, it looked like chunks of pineapple. So, and then the guy in front of me got a huge bag of a bunch of different stuff. And then somebody else, there were two other Focaccia Bari that came out, and those went in a bag, and she handed them off to somebody. And then finally it was my turn. So I got a piece of focaccia, and I got a cornetto. I don't know what's inside of it, but they looked really good. So let's break this out and see. It's like the size of a quarter of a pizza. So it has tomatoes, and I got 2 olives. And the olives have pits. Taste delicious. That was a really good olive. Yummy. There was a long line of people behind me. The best thing, oh, I found another olive. The best thing about it is it's hot. It's very simple. It's just focaccia, with some cooked tomatoes, there might be a little anchovy in the sauce. Super hot. For whom the bell tolls. The crust has a really nice crunch. So, I know I trashed it, like, oh, it's a tourist trap. It's good. Better than what I got at the supermarket, and also better than what I got at the little bakery I found the other day. I mean, they've been doing it since 1508. It better be good. I wish I had a napkin though. Oops. All right, this is my breakfast. I'm just gonna, at this point, work my way out of Bari Vecchia. See if I can find the Basilica of St. Nicholas, and then head out and head back home. just watching people. All right, see you in a little bit. I'm making my way down to the Basilica of St. Nicholas. I think it's just right up the road here. Just wanted to show you where we are. We're right here on the sea. It's a nice breeze blowing. There's the old stone walls of Bari Vecchia. The entrance. I checked ChatGPT, my source for my information these days, and it says that Bari Vecchia goes back for centuries BCE, so 4,000 years before Christ. Jesus, that is old. And it was inhabited by lots of different people whose names I am not sure how to pronounce. Phaeacians, which maybe were the Phoenicians, I don't know, and Swabians, and so even before the time of the Roman Empire. I think I heard somewhere that the people here in southern Italy really resisted the Roman Empire. So, you know, this place that we call Italy is actually fairly new. Before reunification, it was a bunch of different kingdoms. I think this part was under the kingdom of Naples, maybe the kingdom of Sicily. And even at the time of my grandparents' immigration, people considered themselves, or they identified themselves by their region first. So they were Siciliano or Pugliese, Abruzzese. And then in the United States, they're like, oh, we're Italian. Just like when I was young, I considered myself Italian. It wasn't really until I started traveling that I was like, oh, I'm American. So, you know, our identities shift depending on our context. So I see lots of tourists hanging around here. And I'm assuming that this is the Basilica of St. Nicholas. These cows, or whatever these things are, with their missing horns, probably are pagan references. Because, you know, the Christians kind of had to speak to people in the language that they understood to get them to convert. Looks very old. I don't know anything about this church. And I'm not really sure about St. Nicholas either, but I'll check it out and let you know. Let's go inside. Okay, so I just walked through the Basilica of St. Nicholas of Bari, and I just consulted ChatGPT to get some information. So St. Nicholas was born in Turkey. He was a bishop, and there are lots of miracles and other things attributed to him, including resurrecting children from the dead. He apparently was very generous. He gave dowries to young women so they could get married. Gave gifts to children. And yes, he's that St. Nicholas, old St. Nick. Now, the funny thing is, I don't know if you noticed, I've seen all these statues of him. They're all over Bari. He has brown skin. He's a dark-skinned Santa Claus. Hey, Megyn Kelly, I'm talking to you. Sorry if you don't know what I'm talking about. Megyn Kelly had a little meltdown on Fox News because she said Santa Claus was white. Well, guess what? He wasn't. He was brown. And, you know, Santa Claus is like all of these different myths and legends mixed together. So St. Nicholas, and then there's some Scandinavian Santa Claus or whatever. All right, so anyway, 4th century AD in Turkey, and there was a church in Turkey where his bones were buried. And around 1087, I think it was, a group of sailors from Bari went to Turkey to rescue his bones, because at that point the Muslims were expanding. So I guess this is around the time of the Crusades, but this was an unofficial expedition. These guys just took it on themselves to go to Turkey. They confronted the monks who were in charge of the church. I don't know if they killed them or they just said, hey, we want to take the bones. They broke into the crypt, got his bones, and then brought them here, where this basilica was constructed beginning in 1089 and completed in like 1197. So over 100 years it took to finish the basilica. And St. Nicholas is the patron saint of Bari. He's also believed to protect sailors. So as this is a port city, it was very important for the people of Bari to have him here.
Tutto da fuori. No, niente. Niente. Giuliano, quella che devi mangiare.
So fishermen just in with their day's catch. I think that woman is probably speaking dialect. I have no idea what she's saying. And I think that's the castle. So I think I'm back out. Yeah, I just left Bari Vecchia. And I'm gonna meander back. So I'm really fascinated with this fascist architecture, and I Googled I Googled last night to try to find out if there were other buildings in Bari, and it said that Bari has a huge collection of fascist buildings, but it was hard to figure out exactly what. They even mentioned the Teatro Margherita, but that didn't have the characteristics of fascist architecture at all. But there was one post office that sounded really interesting. I'm going to see if that's on the way back. And stop by and take a look. So that's it. I did Bari Vecchia. I had my Focaccia. I went to the Basilica. I feel like I have done my duty.
Ormai lì ne ha passato tu. Sotto il cuscino che blai in casacca.
I think he was speaking dialect too. The local dialect here is Barese. For my morning rant, I had an argument with somebody on Facebook. She was a friend of a friend because I said pasta vazul. So if you don't know, pasta vazul is pasta e fagioli. It's beans and pasta. We used to have it on Fridays. I hated it. I still do. It was no meat substitute, cucina povera from Poor Kitchen. So beans and pasta, it's a perfect protein. Fills you up, it's cheap. So this woman said, that's bad Italian. It's pasta e fagioli. I said, it's probably dialect because my grandparents are from Abruzzo. When I was preparing to go to Abruzzo was when I first learned about dialects. So I asked on a Facebook group, what dialect do they speak in Abruzzo? And the answer was many. Turns out, Abruzzo, I don't know about the rest of Italy, but Abruzzo is all these little hill towns. There's a church and a castle. They're all separated from each other. And they all developed their own languages from Latin. Modern Italian was like a Florentine dialect or something that after reunification, they decided we need one language so that people could communicate. But it wasn't really until the 1960s with television when people started hearing this one dialect that people began speaking what we now know as standard modern Italian. So our grandparents, those like me whose grandparents immigrated in the early 20th century, they probably only spoke dialect. So my grandparents spoke one of the Abruzzese dialects. People from different regions couldn't really communicate with each other. And maybe through that, some of the dialect changed. But I think a lot of the things that we say, like mozzarella and ricotta instead of ricotta, those are all just remnants of the dialect that our grandparents spoke when they arrived in the United States. So I'm tired of hearing people say it's bad Italian and these Italian Americans don't know how to speak their language. Because if you know the history of Italy, which was occupied by many different rulers, lots of different city-states and kingdoms, lots of small hill towns that were separated from each other. People were not going to school, they were uneducated. So all of these different dialects formed from Latin. And here in the South, some of the dialects even have elements of Greek and maybe other cultures too. So stop telling us that we're not speaking proper Italian. We're speaking our language. I get so irritated. It's like in Mexico too. You know, Mexico has thousands of different languages. There's Spanish, yes, but all of these little indigenous groups have their own languages. And often, like if we say Mayan, there are different dialects of Mayan that people speak. So you'll often hear people from Latin American countries complaining that indigenous people speak bad Spanish, or they don't speak Spanish at all. Well, Spanish is their second language, so give them a break. Can we just be nice to each other? Stop shaming each other for the way that we speak, no matter what language it is. You speak English, you speak a variety of English, whatever. Just stop it. Stop it. All right, that's my rant today. I'm going to sit here outside of this castle, a symbol of the occupation, and rest. I just passed through some huge tour groups. Oh my God, I hate tour groups. Sorry. I just went on a rant about being nice, and here I am abusing tour groups. Coming up on the old post office here. Sorry about the noise. I wanted to get this guy in my video in front of me, but he's walking so fast. So he's walking with a tray with like 3 little cups of espresso and a little cup of water. Looks like they just deliver the coffee. The people take it in one shot, and then they take the cups back. Oh, here it is. There's somebody with coffee. So this is the ex-post office. Which now is the Università degli Studi di Bari al del Moro. So it's a university building now. But you can again see the characteristics of the fascist architecture, these big columns. Very limited decoration, except for the graffiti, which I don't think was original. It's quite beautiful. I changed location because there was this table of Italians staring at me. Looks like they're celebrating, maybe. Somebody's wearing a garland on her head. Anyway, here's the building. It kind of reminds me like the domed top. Looks like, you know, like an observatory. Is that what they call it? It could be a little better taken care of. But if it's a university, you know how universities go, they're always struggling for money. And I'm going to go around the other side and look at another angle. Kind of graduation celebration going on here, but I wanted to see if I could look at these sculptures up here. And you know, this massive scale And this was a post office. Nice to see. I don't know what's going on here. They're celebrating. They're wearing these garlands on their head. People are graduating in the middle of October. Lots of crowds of people drinking. It's 10 in the morning, popping champagne. It's really hot. I'm drenched. Again, it's only 72 degrees, but it's so humid. So I'm walking back towards the main commercial strip here in New Bari, which will lead me to the train station. And then I'm going to go back to my Airbnb, take another shower, turn on the air conditioner. I have some takeout I got yesterday, so that will be my lunch. So that's it for my video for today. I hope you enjoyed this adventure. So, you know, some of the usual things that you see in videos from Bari. I hope I gave it a little bit of a different spin. Made it worth watching. And for people who are afraid to come to Bari, come. It's fantastic. I love it. It just has so many different characteristics, so many different sides to it. Get away from old Bari. Yeah, it's nice to see, but explore. This part of New Bari with the commercial street is very nice. And then if you're feeling really adventurous, cross over the tracks and check out the Policlinico, which is still my favorite building and my favorite public space in Bari. So it's a little bit too hectic here. And old Bari, forget it. Those small streets with tour groups, I can't deal. It's making me think that some of these other places that people rave around about, like Polignano a Mare, Lecce, Ostuni, they look beautiful, but if I have to navigate through groups of tourists, I don't mind like one or two tourists, you know, but when you have a group of 40 and 50 and they're all just standing around blocking the sidewalk, it just really gives me agita. All right, so I'm going to end it here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Papa's Kitchen on the Road. Bye.